Ready to roll.
Okay, though. Okay, let me start things up. There should give a while there. All right, come on, let's get up there. I'm waiting for the start here. It's taking all sweet time. Remember, my computer is a piece of crap there. All right, there, and we are rolling now. Okay, what's up, everybody? It's Arknolia and the Doctor. It's me, Dr. Earl W. Brown with Arknolia Stroke Bean, and we have with us also Prince Idol, formerly of Sean's
Yes.
View Entertainment.
Yes.
And as you remember, we had a great show of this past Saturday evening, late Saturday evening there, where where Sean got called out by Prince Idol here. Tony got called out, Bullfrog got called out, and basically, we was on the phone earlier today that's saying that, Sean Zhu lost a good commodity. And
Yes. Yes.
before we went live here, Ida was telling us that he's been getting a lot of offers to be part of this YouTube program, that YouTube live stream, and here and there. And of course, I'm one of them. I invited him to be a guest on
Yes.
this
You did.
show here.
You did.
That's right. And of course, we're right now in the third part of our prog rock series here. And we've been covering a lot of progressive rock acts from the 70s, like Gentle Giant, Yes,
Not
King
yet.
Crimson. Not yet. Well,
The
what?
thing, the thing that Doc, not to interrupt you, Doc, the thing that Doc told me, and I'm a young guy, I'm only 25. A lot of these YouTubers that say, they're like, I hear like a lot of the guys say, they're making fun of me. But if they're making fun of me to my face, are you really making fun of me? And if you think you're hurting me, you're not hurting me when you talk about me. Because the thing is, I'm setting up a platform for myself, no matter whose show it is. I'm setting myself up to be successful. So the more you cater into what I'm doing, like I said, whether it's a bad headline or a good headline, you responded. So therefore, who's winning at the end? I am. Because why? You responded, you laughed, you got something out of it, right? So
That's right.
my argument is, are you really hurting me when I'm begging for the attention anyway? So who's playing who in this chess game?
Or when you're getting the attention out of the blue there.
Exactly. I'm begging for attention, and what you guys do, you feed into it. You eat out of the palm of my hand. I'm making myself very noticeable by the crazy things I'm doing. The easy thing, matter of fact, not even the easy thing. The best way out of it is to ignore it. But if you entertain it, who's winning? Who's winning? Oh, that's right, me. Because I'm the one that's saying, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And when you look at me and you actually see me and what I'm doing and you talk about it, who's winning? Me. Because
Prince
I'm
Idol is.
exactly. So all you guys, not you, doctor, but some of you guys out here in the YouTube community, excuse me for my language, are like, wow, this kid is like, wow, he's something. It's like you can't ignore him. He's just going to keep popping up and popping up and popping up and popping up and popping up. But it's up to you to either ignore it or accept it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's all we owe. Now, of course, yep, and that's about it. Bottom line there, folks. Now, of course, as I mentioned there, before Prince, made a statement there. Of course, as you know, Prince Idol, as you know, was let go by Sean's View Entertainment. We had a long conversation about what a mistake that was because Prince Idol was involved with Sean for how many years? 12 years, I guess, since 2000. He's
I
been
started
watching.
2009, and I
Yep,
never stopped. Then he left, and now he came back. And I got the privilege not to just watch the channel in the chat room, but to be a part of the channel when he
that was
switched.
good. That's a happy thing to be a part of. And all of a sudden, Seansville had who's live, probably live right now, from what I understand, with, of course, Tony
He
up
is.
the rear there. I'm sorry, but Tony's a douchewad. I mean, he's a clout chasing homo.
Well,
He's this hippie wannabe who tries to be
here's the thing.
super.
So I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm not trying to make this show all about me. Promise
No,
me. I just want to add my spin on it. Here's what you don't know. And I want Tony to listen. I want every video that I pop on to leak to him. I want to teach this guy something. I want to hope it sticks into your mental head brain. Prince is smart. He is smart. He's going to bring awareness to himself. He's going to bring a lot of attention to himself. You guys think, oh, he's burying himself. I'm not burying myself, stupid. time will heal all wounds. You ever heard of that? Time will heal wounds. By
That's
the
true.
time I'm 29 years old, I will mature, and Sean will forgive me and bring me back to my channel. It's up to Sean and it's up to me to want to forgive each other. Tony, stop interfering in a relationship that you have no business of controlling in the first place. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're trying to block me off from a good relationship that I have with Sean. But guess what? Time will heal all wounds. And then, like people say, it's like in WWE, when Bret Hart got screwed, Mr. McMahon and Bret hated each other. Now they're on good terms. Like I said,
Yeah.
time will heal wounds. So, Tony, if you think Prince will be gone forever, I'm here to tell you I will be back on Sean's view. This time heals. And the catchphrase over there is, we're fair, Sean's entertainment. So, Sean's fair. Sean is a nice guy. I may have bashed him because I was upset. Yeah, people fight. Friends fight all the time. Brothers fight all the time.
Understandable.
Yeah. So me and Sean had a powwow. So we had a fallout. That doesn't mean we're going to hate each other forever. You know what I'm saying? In life, you may fight with your dad, your mom, your brother, your sister. But at the end of the day, you're going to say sorry. You're going to make up. You know what I'm saying? And move on.
Yes. All that would be under the bridge, water under the bridge there.
This is not the end of Prince Idol. This is only the beginning. Because as I told Sean, I have some growing up to do. I'm only 25 years old. When I mature and have my kid, which is, by the way, my girlfriend is pregnant. When I have my kid and I mature and I grow up to be a man and help my kid and my woman and my family, once he sees the matureness in Prince Idol, he'll sit there and say, okay, I haven't seen him in a while. He's matured. Why not take him back? Why not? Because he's matured. He understands how life works. He's got his own platform now. He's been doing good. You know, we're in a new decade. We're in a new year. He's 29. Let's take him back. So, if you're thinking this is the end of Prince Idol on Sean's view, no. This is Sean letting me go and fly. Every bird leaves a nest to go fly, and they come back home. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So who's outsmarting who, guys? Prince Idol's outsmarting you. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, all right. So back to the main. So we heard it from Prince Idol there. Back to the main discussion of tonight's program. Now, Prince, do you listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
I listen to all punk rock, actually.
It's
not
actually
punk rock.
it's a prog rock, progressive rock there.
Yes, I started out in punk rock, then I transitioned into classic rock, heavy metal, like 80s hair bands, and then I even got into grunge. I don't really like grunge, like Nirvana. I don't like grunge that much. But
I don't lie that much. I was never big on this stuff there. All the stuff there talking about, I'm so depressed. I feel like a loser. I think I'll shoot heroin in my veins and make me feel better. I just never cut into that thing there.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So we're talking about prog rock, where bands from England, and a couple bands from the U.S. as well, such as Dream Theater in Kansas. But we're focusing on the prog rock scene, which is prog being short for progressive. We're talking about bands that like to interpret pieces of classical music, in different themes into their music there. I know Yes, who we covered the last time, had a lot of interesting themes with their songs there, like Starship Trooper. We know them from the song Roundabout, which is a big song of theirs. And we also had, of course, King Crimson previously, which was a favorite of mine during my early teen years in the early 80s there. They had a lot of songs about, the music industry, groupies there, but it was told in a more theatrical, Shakespeare form of way there, And basically tonight we're going to be focusing on a former member of King Crimson, a former member of the group The Nice, and a one-time drummer for the Crazy World of Arthur Brown, Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
And Atomic Rooster.
Atomic Rooster, yeah. And Carl Palmer was a member of that group, if I'm correct. Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah, it's right there. Now, Emerson, Lake and Palmer was considered the super prog rock supergroup. Greg Lake coming from King Crimson, Keith Emerson coming from the band The Nice, and of course Carl Palmer coming from both Atomic Rooster and the Crazy World of Arthur Brown, They released their first album in 1971 there, titled simply Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That was this album that featured the classic song Lucky Man, which still gets played on the classic rock stations to this very day there.
Excuse me for a minute. Hold on.
Yeah. What's up?
Excuse me for a minute. I need to check on something. Hold on.
Right,
I'm still here. I just need to check on something.
Okay, gotcha. I'll continue there.
Yeah,
Now,
Emerson, Lake and Palmer were largely keyboard, although Greg had his moments.
Yeah, Greg would play, sing vocals, guitar, and of course do bass guitar as well there.
Right.
He was a good guitar, but he wrote some pretty good songs on that guitar there, by the way.
Yeah.
He wrote songs like C'est la vie, Still You Turn Me On,
and of course, Lucky Man.
And Lucky Man as well there, which was probably one of his signature song, I guess you would say there.
Yeah.
And yeah. Now, the band lasted up until about, I guess, 1978 when they decided to break apart. They officially got back together, and officially in around 1991, they released a few albums on the Victory Music label there. And I guess they carried on, and I guess, for some reason, they just, I don't know if they just stopped, went on hiatus again, or whatever it was there, or what it was, or what the situation was there, or that they just stopped, what the fuck,
Well, basically, after a while, Emerson Lake couldn't get along at all, and Palmer kind of was caught in the middle.
Yeah, that's true.
But Emerson and Lake they didn't even record at the same time in the studio.
Wow.
They would, Lake would go in and do his bit, and Palmer would add on, and then Emerson would go in later and do his bit.
Yeah, separately.
Which is kind of weird, because when you hear it, it doesn't sound like that's what happened.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, that's how much powerful musicianship those three guys had displayed,
Yeah, because Keith Emerson was classically trained pianist and incredibly versatile on keyboards.
And sadly, Lake and Emerson are no longer with us. They both passed away in 2016.
Right.
Greg Lake from cancer and Emerson from suicide.
Yeah, he got some kind of hand condition where he couldn't play keyboards anymore, and that was his life. And he's just like, well, if I can't do this anymore.
Breadwinner. That was his breadwinner. That was his source of earning money, And he couldn't. I don't think he could really cut it as just a producer, calling the shots of the studio. You got to do more than that. He's one of those guys that feels like I should do more than just this. I should do more than that,
Right.
And for what I understand, the guy had, according to some, the man had someone like a lot of keyboards, a lot of computers and stuff,
Oh, he took a ton of them on the road.
Oh, absolutely, because how are you going to translate works of Chopin, Bach, and all the other classic composers?
Mussorgsky.
How are you going to do it? Mussorgsky, yes, absolutely. He was basically used those computers to help translate those works, which he did very damn well.
Yeah. Well, the first album only had
6 tracks.
But every single one of them is worth a listen.
Absolutely, there.
You had The Barbarian. You had Take a Pebble. Knife Edge.
Yeah.
The Three Fates. Tank. And of course Lucky Man.
Yeah. And Tank was a pretty good track there because it featured the drumming skills of Carl Palmer there.
Yeah.
And of course, Take a Pebble was like one of those long, mellow tracks there where Greg Lake would just diddle around on the acoustic guitar there. And it just back then they would keep the tape recording all along. They just get it all there, whether it was spontaneous or planned or not,
Yeah, a lot of Keith Emerson piano in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Knife Edge was where the at the end of that track, where they would just stop the tape, it was just, which was always fascinating to listen to when you think about it there.
Yeah.
And I see you.
Go ahead.
Scam likely on my phone. Screw you, motherfucker. You're gone there. That's what I'm talking about. I've been getting those at work. I've been getting those when I'm not at work. A lot of times. It's
Yeah,
like,
all of a
geez,
sudden I'm
Christ.
getting a lot of that kind of stuff.
Dude, I've been on. I would get these friend requests on Facebook by these hot looking women, but they only have one photo of themselves in their profiles upload there, and you know what? That tells me they're a scam. They're a
Yeah.
total scam. Bottom line there. And I can see. Let's see what we got here. We got a fucking voicemail. Most likely, let me see what we got. This bitch has got here.
You have one new voice message. Para ser eliminado de la lista o primero.
Screw you. So
What happened?
Spanish. It was so stupid Spanish voicemail I got from so Spanish recording there.
And
Yeah,
they followed.
that's-
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, dude.
Well, they followed up that album with an even bigger one, Tarkus.
Great album there. Great piece, by the way, which took all of side one. The great piece there. You got to check that album out, Idol. There, definitely. Damn good piece there.
Say that again. There's so much
It's-
going on in the background. I'm sorry, my mom is not feeling well today.
Oh, okay,
man.
I see there. Oh well.
This is so much going on, and my girlfriend with her hormones yelling at
Wow.
me.
Oh, boy.
I know it's not her being that way. It's the hormones, because when
Yeah.
girls are pregnant, a lot of things happen. I've been
Yeah, a
hearing
lot
that
of
from my brother.
aggressions. A lot of
My brother-
aggressions come up.
Yes, it's just a lot. It's a
All
lot.
right, there. Well, we're talking about the second record, Tarkus, from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which is a pretty good album to listen to. If you ever listen to the whole of side one, definitely
7
check it out.
pieces.
7 pieces into one suite there, I guess it's called there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good album there. Definitely worth checking out, man.
And of course, the other side, little ditty that was, I guess, fun. Jeremy Bender.
Sure.
He followed that up with Bitches Crystal. Then another one that was kind of connected is The Only Way in Infinite Space.
Yeah.
And then Time and a Place, which is another Greg Lake composition.
Yeah.
And then I guess another little fun piece in Are You Ready, Eddie?
Yeah, it's kind of like a rockabilly type of stuff there. Yeah. Yeah, there. And I guess the third one, Trilogy, was the one that comes up next there with the Ignis Enigma, which is part 1 and 2 there. Songs like, what is it called? Original Sin or Bitches Sin? I forgot on that album.
Living
there.
Sin.
Livingston, thank you. I had that album for a while now. I had that album, the first album, Brain Cell Surgery. That was pretty much about it for my ELP collection there.
And of course there was Trilogy, which was one song that's like 3 little pieces within it.
Yep.
And then they did a pretty good version of Hoedown, which is an Aaron Copland song.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, yes. I remember hearing that on the end of side 1 there. You got to give him credit for that. I mean,
And this was the one from the beginning was on.
Yep, absolutely. Good song for them. Another good Greg Lake composition that he composed for the band there.
And Abaddon's Bolero.
Mm-hmm.
And they followed up Trilogy. And we're skipping the live albums like last time until we're done with these.
The end there, yes.
Is Brain Salad Surgery, which...
Oh, yeah, that's the main one there. That's the
that
main one.
That might be their best.
Yep. And best in cover artists as well. H.R. Geiger, you know who he is. He did the cover for that album there. And apparently what it was, he didn't, I guess what I understand, Geiger did not get paid for his work, apparently.
Wow.
Yes.
Right.
And, Geiger has done album covers for Steve Stevens, the former Billy Idol guitarist, Deborah Harry, Danzig. He did a lot of stuff there, In fact, he did this one artwork of Darth Vader, which is kind of very creepy to look at when you think about it there. Yes. Very creepy there. And also, the album, the main focus, the meat of that album is have to be Carn Evil 9 first, second, and third impressions.
Which takes up part of the first side and all of the second side.
Yeah, they have to divide the first impression into two parts for the vinyl version, the original there, and the cassette version. Whereas on CD, they just let it all right through there with no interruptions there.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that whole thing is like 30 minutes long.
It's probably more than that, I guess, to understand. I remember one thing I learned when I was living in Richmond, Michigan, when I would play that piece is a long piece there, because it was all one track. And one of the Touch Tunes jukeboxes I used to go listen to at the bar there, I would put the whole Carn Evil 9 on. And soon later, when it gets to usually gets to either the last few minutes of the second impression or when it starts at the third impression, somebody would cut it off and put something else on there because, it's a long-ass track either way.
Yeah.
So that way, in a way, that would peeve me off. It's like, well, but then again, it is a very long piece there, and sooner or later, people are going to be like, enough's enough. I understand, but not here, dude.
Yeah, and this album also had "Still You Turn Me On."
Yeah, good. That's a great song from Greg Lake there.
And Toccata.
And of course, in Toccata, yes, which was, and I understand the person who composed that track, he left a little comment underneath the list of the track. He's saying, Keith Emerson has taken my piece. And what was the quote again? If I understand, he mentioned, what was it?
Well, I know they added that it was adapted from Ginsberg?
Let me look it up there on the Wikipedia, the album there. Let's see here. Because I know he gave, I guess, the composer, I forgot whose name, because remember, some of these composers, these composers, they have these unpronounceable names here. It was their fourth album, by the way. It was also the first album of their own label called Manticore Records there. It was, of course, distributed by Atlantic Records here in the States there.
Yeah.
It was distributed, and of course, following the tour to support the album, the group required, the last previous record there, Trilogy, they required several rehearsal faculties to work on this album, which would blend rock themes and classical themes to control things. They also launched their own record label in March of 1973. It was recorded from June to September and mixed in October of that same year. And it was, as all as their previous works, it was produced by Greg Lake. He did the whole album there.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I guess, some of the lyrics on the Carn Evil 9 were done by Peter Sinfield, who wrote the lyrics for the earlier King Crimson albums just as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, let's see here. By the way, I'm looking at the thing here that you were talking about, that second track, Toccata. What's it called again?
Toccata.
Toccata, yeah. Now, let's see here. I'm trying to find a piece of that quote. Yeah, I forgot the name of the composer that originally that it was adapted from, but he gave Keith Emerson loads of props. He has successfully captured the emotion of my piece. Basically what he was saying on the album jacket there.
The interesting thing about that particular piece is I was in a music store back in the days when they sold musical equipment. And guy was trying to demonstrate to me what the speakers that I was looking at sounded like.
Yeah.
And he played that song, and it was a perfect song because it's got incredibly highs and lows in it. I mean,
yep.
It's got highs in it you won't believe, and then it's got lows in it that'll make your whole room rumble. And when he demonstrated that, those are the speakers I bought.
Wow, yes.
And also,
by the way, that piece also featured probably, if I'm correct, the only synthesized drum solo on that track.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, it was. It was a drum synthesizer that Palmer was playing during that track there before they went to the final few minutes of that piece there. So that album has got, and by the way, that album has got reissued a lot of times. For a while,
yeah.
it got the red carpet treatment from Victory Records, whom ELP did sign it throughout the 90s there for a couple albums they did for that label. And it got remastered with a hologram cover for the CD. And by the way, Prince, if you ever find this album on vinyl, definitely do so, because the art is, the way it's done, the way it's set up, you will be amazed by it. Definitely, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. And they followed this up with Works Volume 1, which is an interesting album in itself, because it's a originally two record LP. Side 1 was Keith Emerson, basically.
Yep.
It was Piano Concerto, and side 2 was Greg Lake, basically. Let Me Your Love Tonight, C'est La Vie, Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Song.
Yeah,
very emotional song from Greg Lake, C'est La Vie. The accordion that Keith, yep.
And side 3 was essentially Carl Palmer.
Yep. Which, by the way, one of the tracks, the LA Nights, featured Joe Walsh on doing the slide guitar, by the way.
Yeah.
And of course, side 4 will feature Fanfare for the Common Man, one of their most recognizable pieces there.
And Pirates. And Pirates, which is a fantastic song. And that's the whole group.
Yep. And there. And of course, they had Works Volume 2, for I understand, as well, later on.
Yeah, that followed it.
Yep.
And that had some pretty good songs in it. That had, it had the Peter Gunn theme, which is interesting, because that's like a 60s, 70s cop show. But it's got a very recognizable theme.
Very recognizable. It's meant to, in fact, the Ventures even did their version a couple times there.
Yeah. And it's got Tiger.
And the Art of Noise. Remember that group in the 80s there? Yep. And featuring Dwayne Eddy.
Yeah. And it's got, it's got Tiger in the Spotlight. Oh, it's got a track in here called Bullfrog. Yeah, I knew it was there.
Oh, my God.
It's a little instrumental. You need to listen to it if you've never heard it.
All right. We should probably listen to that and but put on clips of Bullfrog screaming its head off to make that complete.
Let's see what else was memorable. Watching Over You, So Far to Fall. Maple Leaf Rag, which is a very old, trying to remember who the artist was. Scott Joplin, I think. Very old piano thing.
You got to remember, a lot of these acts like ELP and Yes, they would leave the good listener, wondering, I wonder what the Scott Joplin composition would sound like. That they would listen to find it, and they would listen to it. They'd be like, wow, interesting, dude. So a lot of these prog rock acts would help the listener get into earlier classical music.
Yeah, and of course, I Believe in Father Christmas is on this album.
Yeah, which is one of their all-time Christmas favorites there.
And actually, Peter Gunn theme wasn't on that album. It's on a later one. But we'll get to it.
All right, there.
And then, after that, they followed up with what has, in my opinion anyway, is the worst album they ever did.
Let me guess. Love Beach?
Love Beach.
Yeah, I never understood the story, the title of that record. It's like, it sounds like they look like something like out of a Pablo Cruz kind of thing there. The way they had with the Hawaiian shirts, the standing all smiley. It's like, what the heck? Is that
absolutely no cooperation on this album, and it sounds like it.
Mm.
And they broke
Okay.
up shortly after this album for a while, for a
Yeah, for
long
sure.
while.
Of course, Carl Palmer would later join the band Asia with Steve Howe, one of the Buggles, and of course, of course, with John Wetton, ex of King Crimson. Um, Keith Emerson would do the soundtrack for the movie
It's classic
Nighthawks.
stuff. As I'm
Yeah.
looking up on my phone,
Hmm.
this is some classic stuff. I think you're pinning me onto some new music, and I appreciate that. This is some stuff, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
what.
highly into classical music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these bands, grew up with classical music there, so they interpret that into their
I'm doing
works and in our
research,
songs there. Yes,
doing my research on my phone as I'm on this podcast, and I'm like, wow, this is some real high classic music,
yes,
real good.
yes. As I was saying, Keith Emerson would later do the soundtrack to a movie called Nighthawks that had Billy D. Williams and Sylvester Stallone, and of course, Greg Lake would have a couple solo records, and it'd be about a few long years before Emerson, Lake and Powell would emerge in
Right. They did
1986 with
one album, I
one
think.
album. One album, Emerson, Lake and Powell, and of course the Powell we're speaking of is Cozy Powell, who sadly, like Lake and Emerson, is no longer with us. He died in a car wreck, I believe, in 1997.
And
Powell
he's
is
a
what
well
they,
respected drummer.
he was, yeah. He worked with Rainbow. He worked with Whitesnake. He worked, I guess, with I guess he also worked with Brian May. I understand from Queen when he did some solo ventures, and he also did work with Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi's Black Sabbath, I should
Right.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Look up Headless Cross, Tear, Forbidden, those albums there that they did. Definitely worth a listen to. And sadly, another great drummer taken from us,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Then the next thing that followed this was Tour the Power 3, which I think it was Emerson, Berry, and Powell. Or not Powell.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Palmer.
yeah. And as I said, it was called Three. Now, I
Yeah.
guess there was a situation with Lake and Emerson once again, and they got Robert Barry in its place, and they decided to call themselves Three. That album came out on Geffen Records in 1988 there. And I don't know if it was a success or which it was, or it
Well,
was
it
a
did okay, and
flop,
it wasn't
whatever.
bad.
Yeah. And
Then the original group got back together again,
yep,
and they did Black Moon,
yep.
which is actually an excellent album.
Yeah, it came back. That was the record I told you about. They released it on Victory Records,
Yeah.
which was which was ran by Phil Carson, a former executive at Atlantic Records, their original label there.
Yeah, they did Black Moon and Paper Blood, which were both good. And
Hmm.
one that is a great Keith Emerson vehicle is they did their adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, which was by Prokofiev.
I see her.
And
Yeah.
boy, it's an excellent interpretation by Keith Emerson mainly.
Yeah. Wow, man. You got to give him up. He was like one of the masters of the keyboard works when you think about it there. You listen to an album called Pictures at an Exhibition,
Oh, we'll get to
which you
that
got to
one.
get. Yeah, definitely. Prince Saito, if you don't see that album, pick it up. Top notch. Top notch, bro. Top notch,
Well,
dude.
Yeah,
well,
if you're familiar with
Vinyls coming back, so
I
I'm not.
know, yeah.
yeah,
But the thing is, but they need to reissue all the vinyls that these artists have. You must bet would go to an independent store where there's a lot of new, used, and new vinyl there.
Mhm.
Yes.
yeah, because well, you know, Pictures at an Exhibition is a Mussorgsky piece, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. Yes.
And it's basically a tour through a museum.
Yeah, that's right. The HUD of yeah.
Grandfather
That,
used to collect a lot of as I told you before, Doc, he used to collect a lot of jazz records. I'm familiar with a lot of jazz music and very classical music. So this is not the first go round for me. Just singing. It's not the first go round.
all right there.
Okay, and then they released In the Hot Seat, which was a pretty decent album, which was the
Ah,
last one with the three of them.
ah,
Then we move on to the live ones, which
oh yeah.
starts with Pictures as an Exhibition, which
Yep.
actually also closes with a Tchaikovsky thing called Nut Rocker, which is an adaptation.
Nutcracker.
Well, it's an adaptation
Adaptation. Yeah.
Hmm.
of Nutcracker, but they call it Nut Rocker, which
Mm.
basically they kind
Ah.
of, you know.
Da, 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 da,
No, they
da,
don't do that
da.
part.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, they do. They open with
Yeah,
that.
they start. Yeah, they start the piece with that. Then they just did their own interpretation of it later on.
Yeah. And let's say they followed that back with my opinions, their best live album,
Mhm.
Welcome Back, My Friends.
To the show that never ends, and that was a 3-record set, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, I believe, recorded during the brain salve surgery tour, if I'm correct there.
Yeah. And side one was Tarkus, and side two started with the conclusion of Tarkus because it
Yep.
was that long.
Yes, absolutely. They have to know a lot of live versions of long pieces do tend to be extended for the live shows there.
Then they went into Take a Pebble. The next side started with the end of Take a Pebble,
Yep.
and well, it's called Piano Improvisations, and then Take a Pebble conclusion.
Yes. Hmm.
They followed that with Jeremy Bender.
Hmm.
Interesting. And then side 5 and 6 was in Carnival 9, the whole thing.
Wow.
And it is absolutely, well, in my opinion, the best rendition of that piece.
There. Yes, definitely. You know, and then we also got to acknowledge the in concert album, which if you ever, it's a gatefold album, by the way. When you look at the front cover, the way it's presented, that shows you how much of a massive audience this group would pack in. And this was a huge, massive outdoor venue that they were playing in.
Yeah.
And when I look at that cover, it's like, holy mother load.
And this is the one that actually has the Peter Gunn theme on it.
Uh-huh. Yes, a live version, if I'm correct there.
Right.
Yes. And you got to remember, and this one featured a shorter version of pictures at the exhibition, if I'm correct there.
Yes. And actually, an interesting YouTube thing to view, and I know it's there because I watch it occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
is Emerson, Lake and Palmer live at Royal Albert Hall.
Ah,
And they play pretty much into everything, and you can get to see some of Keith Emerson's antics while he's playing piano.
oh man, you got to check.
Keyboards.
You got to print side out. You got to check out the way Keith Emerson, messes up, just destroys his organ. Not totally destroyed it, but he
Well,
would
his
stick
keyboard.
knives in between. Yeah, well, he would take these knives that he keeps strapped on the side there. He jab it in between the keys there to keep the sound going there. He would rock it back and
Yeah.
forth, throw it on the side there, jump down by the crowd there, start doing a little solo there from the crowd, get back up. And there was
Yeah.
one point, there was a couple of points during their performance at the California Jam where Emerson would strap himself up to a piano, those little sitting benches that you would sit on to play piano. The piano would lift up and would twirl all round and round and round.
While he was playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look it up on YouTube, man. You'll be flipped out, man. Wow.
And they actually have an album of that concert called Live at the Royal Albert Hall, which is
Yep.
a great one to get. And then they had Works Live,
Yep.
and then a live one from the Isle of Wight Festival, which was one of their early ones. That's some of their early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's quite a little treat to see them do their stuff. And some of the songs they did, oh yeah, I have a list.
Ah. That's right. Of all your personal favorite tracks, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have listed anybody else's.
Oh, absolutely. There, yes.
Okay. My number 10 is From the Beginning. Great song.
Oh, yeah. Great song from them. Absolutely.
My number 9 is Toccata.
From Brain Cell Surgery, the piece that we were telling you about with the synth drum solo there.
My number 8 is Fanfare for the Common Man.
Another great one. Another great interpretation from those guys there.
Number 7 is Trilogy.
hmm The song Trilogy, by the way, not the album. From
Right.
the album.
Number 6 I got is Romeo and Juliet. Great version of it.
Yep.
Number 5 is Lucky Man. Number 4 is Picture and Exhibition.
Oh, yeah. The whole piece there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Side 1 to side 2 there.
Number 3 is Pirates.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that song.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Tarkus.
Yep. Another great one.
And number 1 is Carnival 9.
Oh, yeah. All three impressions.
Oh, yeah.
In there. Yep.
Well, as you know, I'm a completist. I like I always advise people, don't be misled by the single version. Get the whole version. Get the album version.
Get the album version because it's a lot more longer. It's not so edited down, and there's a lot more. In fact, the whole album could be just as amazing as the song itself. That's one thing I learned a lot of times.
Well, it's funny because we talk about how they edit down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just to name to me, which is an incredible example of stupid editing, is you're familiar with "Come Sail Away" by Styx, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you hear the edited version, right after he sings about a gathering of angels appeared above my head, they told me this. They sang me the song of hope, and this is what they said. And then they do the "Come Sail Away," and then they do that me, and they go into the synthesizer, the guitar. Well, the cut version, all that is cut. The synthesizer and the guitar, possibly among the best part of the song.
Well,
and it's gone.
How long was the song all together there?
About 6.5 minutes.
Probably a reason why. Because for the single version, they had to cut it down to possibly about 4 or 5 minutes at the most.
But that was an incredible butcher job.
Yeah, I know it was. Yeah, but then again, somebody forgot to tell the Beatles to do that when they put out "Hey Jude," which is a whole more than 7 minutes long there.
Yeah, I think it's about 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. Correct. Yeah. But then again, some other record labels have different ideas just as well there.
Right.
I'm not so saying up in there. I'm still wondering will we ever see 45s come back, by the way.
I don't know about that one.
I know, that's true there. Let alone 8-tracks.
Or cassettes.
Well, I know, dude. I had so many fucking cassettes in my box. I miss those things, Eric. Because here I have a little record player with a radio, an MP3 player, a CD player, and a cassette player on one. And I have no CDs, let alone cassettes. Only have a couple of vinyl albums that I bought recently, including the new version of Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Yeah, I had before I had to sell them off because of financial considerations.
I had to leave them behind back in Michigan because they were all smelly. Had to be in a basement for a good amount of time there. So I'm still looking to and now most of the albums that I had stocked are now some of my downloaded onto my MP3 here, along with most of the CD that was in my CD collection, but I also had to leave behind.
Yeah, I had over 4,000 CDs.
I know, yeah, man.
And I had 6,000 pieces of vinyl.
Yeah, that's true there.
Now I've got something like about 250,000 MP3s.
I know, yeah. I still got a few there, but most of the one I play here is the one that's hooked up to my computer right now, charging up the battery. The other two I have are basically empty because most of the stuff I had to transfer from that MP3 or this MP3 into this one here. Yeah. Nice. So, Prince, what do you think about what we're discussing here tonight? Are you like? I know you mentioned you were like interested in what we were talking about here.
Very interested because, like I said, vinyl is coming back. You guys are putting me on some new classical music, and I appreciate that. And I grew up listening to, like, a lot of 80s hair bands and a lot of heavy metal. But
Yeah.
I do like Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd, I do like them.
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be next. I guess they'll be
Well, either
included on our
them
list here.
or Genesis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the early Genesis before they
Right.
became a top 40 act there. When
What do you
when
think
Peter Gabriel. What again?
what do you think of Journey, the band called Journey?
Oh, I like Journey.
Well, Journey's a pretty good. Yeah. They kind of like had their prog rock moments in their earlier albums prior to Steve Perry joining. That's when
Mhm.
they became the hit radio machine band that they would later become throughout the later 70s and throughout the 80s there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
actually,
everyone loves Bon Jovi. Everyone loves Bon Jovi. Who hasn't heard of Bon Jovi? That's one of my favorite bands.
And not my really favorite there because I
I
wasn't
like
really
some of
much
their
into
stuff okay, but I'm not like deep into them. I mean, they've done a couple of songs I do like
Mhm.
that I can
I
think
was
of.
never in. I was never into them. Like I cannot tell you how many times when I walk into a nearby bar back in Richmond and hear some karaoke person trying to do, actually some idiot, some jizzball trying to do "Wanted Dead or Alive." How many times? And it's like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, that
What
karaoke will tend to turn you off of some
you know?
artists.
What's even worse, dude? You know what's even worse, guys? Some big heavyweight woman up there with these big rimmed glasses who's not attractive, a face that would give Medusa the Gorgon, make her turn to stone. She's trying to sing it. Don't you wish a girl was hot like me?
Oh,
Don't you?
uh,
I saw that one time. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
uh,
Give me a break.
oh man.
Well, Doctor, which one do you want to do next time? Pink Floyd?
Oh, I say we do
Yeah.
Pink Floyd. Yes,
Okay.
yes, Prince. We got to invite you back on the show now for Pink Floyd because this was one of the bands that really freaked me out.
Yeah, because the
I'll come back to
interesting
this.
about them is I don't know how much familiar you are with their really early stuff,
Yeah,
but they started out as a psychedelic band and then turned to prog.
yes. The album was like the
If
Piper
you
at the
don't
Gates of Dawn.
dive down deep. Not many people know this. I have collected every single Prince album that ever came out. A lot of people don't know this. His Dirty Mind album
Yes, I
is
remember that.
actually it's punk rock. It's punk and British rock. That's why he's wearing that trench coat, and that's why his style back then was like that. Because he was actually trying to get into punk rock. Not many people know that he was actually
Yeah,
inspired by British punk rock.
yeah, and the lyrics of some of that songs are even more tripped out. By the way, when you think about it, there, Sister, Head, the topics of
Yeah.
those songs. We definitely got to talk about that album. That's for sure because that was one of the records I guess that got him in trouble with the PMRC back in '85. There, along with Darlene Nikki, of course.
And you know who else is punk rock? Someone told me Billy Idol was doing punk rock before.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in the band called Generation X
Yeah.
prior to becoming a solo artist. They released a couple albums there. It was like this was back in when punk was really at its full prime in the UK with the Damned, the Pistols, the Clash. Other bands like some of the bands here in the States we had this as well, but the, but basically the UK scene had a lot of punk bands about it with the high hair spiked out and stuff like that. I think Tony James would later go on to be a member of Zig Zig Sputnik, some flashy punk, some like electronic punk dancey group there, and then later joined the Sisters of Mercy for an album and toured, and that was about it, I guess.
Now the two songs I always thought that sound punk to me when I listened to Prince's "Dirty Mind," the song called "When You Were Mine" has a little bit of punk in it to it, and the
Yep.
song Billy Idol put out, "Dancing with Myself" sounds punk. Dancing with
Yeah.
myself. It has that punk vibe. It does.
Ah,
It's more
yeah.
like a ballad
By the way,
punk.
speaking of "When You Were Mine," check out Mitch Ryder's cover of that song which came out a couple years later. I guess it was in '83. I guess it was. You heard of Mitch Ryder by no chance?
You just put me onto him just now. That's why I said, "Oh, really?" I was like,
Yes, yeah. Look up Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. They were a band out of Detroit. They did their version of "Good Golly Miss Molly," "Devil with the Blue Dress" song into two songs into one, basically with that one there. He would later put together a band called Simply Detroit, and their version of Lou Reed's "Rock and Roll" was outstanding there. You got to check that out. That's for sure there. I remember hearing that on radio as a early preteen kid there. It's definitely got to be acknowledged.
I want to. May I address this, Doc? I don't know
Yeah, yeah,
why somebody came after me already in your chat, like I wouldn't see it. They're
yeah.
saying, "All right, Prince, I don't know what you're talking about." Even if I don't know what you're talking about, it's not a bad thing for a young guy to sit in a room with older people and learn something. That's what's wrong with this generation. Y'all don't want to learn nothing. It's a
Yeah.
shame. It makes me sick to my stomach how some people just don't want to sit down and open their ears and shut up and learn something for once. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm zipping my mouth and I'm learning something.
Yeah,
And
'cause Doc is 2 times older than you, and I'm
yeah,
damn near 3 times older than you.
you guys
Yeah.
are teaching me something. It's not going to hurt to want to learn something. We learn something every day. It's not going to hurt to learn something. You know?
Mm. And I hear it's come sail away in the background, by the way,
That's
there.
my ringtone.
Ah, nice. And by but the thing is, we're trying to the purpose of this program is to
Mhm.
turn the young people on to acts from the
Exactly.
past. Yeah, we got
Exactly.
to turn because so many kids out there are so many focused on all these bands, all these artists of today, whether it's Harry Styles or My Chemical Romance. I'm like, you got to remember, a lot of those bands had influences in their life that inspired them to create the music that they have today, and we're trying to focus, let those people know what
Well,
influenced the acts of today. For instance, the guitar harmonics of Avenged Sevenfold. Where did he learn that kind of stuff from?
Mhm.
Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Thin Lizzy.
yeah, it's funny 'cause I don't know if you watch any of the people that react to old songs,
Yep,
but it's
they're
amazing
all over
because
YouTube. Yeah,
they're all of them, almost to a person, talk about how this music, we're missing something today. This is the music. They're
yes.
they're
Mhm.
just all absolutely amazed by what they hear.
Yeah, there was this one guy who I forgot his name, but he was doing his listening to reaction to Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin, and he was like astounded by the sounds that he was hearing. Like he didn't even know what Jimmy Page was doing to that make that sound. Turns out,
Right.
as we know, he was using a violin bow on his guitar there with a
Mhm.
with a wah wah crybaby wah wah pedal there. Add to it there.
Mhm.
Yes.
Start, if you don't mind, since I'm a young guy who does
Yeah.
play all three of the good guitar. I know how to play lead, bass, and rhythm guitar. If you can
Yes.
put me onto more guitar playing, because what that does is that opens my mind to learn to want to practice even more.
All
So I
right.
always look for guys to put me onto more guitar players because all that's going to do is inspire me to get back on it even more.
Definitely. You know what? I got to do me a guitar playing video pretty of my own pretty soon there. I uploaded one about a couple weeks back there of me doing a slide guitar on this little kind of toy-like acoustic guitar that I have here. And I have a lot of guitar playing videos on my channel there where I do a lot of fast-paced solos there. In fact, me and YR, if you
Hmm.
remember, I think I mentioned this. We did we did our version of a Judas Priest song there. I think it was Victim of Changes. That's what it was. I did the guitar. He did the vocals, air quotes, and that was about it. And it was what I believe was one of our episodes of Metal Maniacs from last year.
Yeah, and actually, if you're looking for guitar players to kind of spur you on, Joe Walsh is a good one.
Thank you.
Uh, and he was a member formerly of a group called the James Gang, which they have some absolutely phenomenal work.
Walk Away, Funk 49, so two of the big songs from them.
And then he was also for a while in the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. It still is, by the way, there.
Yeah, and that there's some more songs that would kind of spur your guitar, because for a while they had three what amounted to lead guitarists.
Yeah, Glenn Frey, Walsh, and Don Felder.
Yeah, wow. And one song that you can hear them interchange on that three lead thing is Hotel California.
Yeah, absolutely, there. The live and the studio versions there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I appreciate this, guys. I really do. I really do.
And let me say that you're more than welcome to come back when we do the next one, which I guess is Thursday.
Yes, this Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time here.
Yep.
And from what I heard, you're from Fort Worth?
Yes.
Actually, you know, what's interesting is I'm about 20 miles south of you.
Ah, there you go, man.
In Texas?
Yeah.
In Texas, yep.
Wow. Wow, appreciate that.
Have you heard of a little town called Burleson?
Yeah, I did. We have passed that. We have passed by Burleson.
That's where I live.
Wow. Small world we live in, man.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
It's like we're destined to meet. It's like, oh, here's this young kid who wants to, be a star. He likes music. He's trying so hard to get his feet wet. But I think what's going to help me is, like Doc said, put yourself in a circle around people that actually know what they're talking about.
Right.
And that would help you adapt to where you want to go in life. And I have to keep my mind open. My mom always tells me, keep your mind open. Don't have a closed mind. Always have a mind open, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn.
Well, that exactly. That's why I wish more people of your generation would do that.
Oh, please. Please. I was born May 21st, 96.
No, that's what I'm saying. I wish a lot of the people your age would do that. Have an open mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of, I would pray the same thing. I often mention that to my sister a few times because, she's more into the more mainstream kind of stuff there, the only rock songs she really knows is the ones that they play on the radio hits, as they call it there. And, I've often tried to tutor on to other songs there, but oftentimes she would give these looks of disapproval here and there. So I just let it go at that, She goes her way, listens to her taste, I listen to mine here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, but basically, like I said, the purpose is to turn the people of today onto the artists of back then. In fact, you may want to go way back to the very first episode that me and Ark did back last year when we were discussing what our things that we were going to be discussing. We go back to the 1930s.
Actually, we did classical music too.
Yeah, absolutely. We discussed that. We also have episodes where we talked about, TV shows, movies, and everything else.
But like I said before, Doc, that's what some of these kids. I always tell people is like, what is your lifestyle? What you see on camera is not what you get behind camera. Like a lot of people think, oh, like they say from Sean's view, I play like it's a character I play. It's like a lot of people think he's just some obnoxious, crazy kid, but when they really get to find out who I am, I'm not a crazy, obnoxious. That's just a character I'm playing. That's just,
Well, something else that we were kind of wanting to do sometime was discussing wrestling, but old wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling from the past because, like way back. And plus, I was hoping to do a show with Minnesota Vikings, man, talking about the plane ride from hell and how Ric Flair's getting canceled here and there.
Yeah.
I
Have you
mean,
heard?
we got to talk. I know, yeah. And the thing that pisses me off is like they're going after Tommy Dreamer, they're going after a Ric Flair for that bullshit there, but yet,
Like,
go ahead.
they're going after them for that plane ride, that WWE plane ride from hell. Yeah, that's what. That's
Absolutely. And the thing is, but yet we have yet to hear them criticize or condemn Grizzly Smith,
hmm
who was was a pro wrestler. Who, if you ever watched one of the episodes of that program, apparently
hmm
what it was, apparently it had a lot of apparently what it was is that let's see here. I got to look it up. Apparently, he was doing some inappropriate stuff with underage girls.
Oh,
Oh my.
I got the last word on sports.com here. Apparently, they're talking about the Dark Side of the Ring episode there. Took a look at the Grizzly Smith who wrestled during the 50s and 60s.
There was a guy who I was training with in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, at this place called Platinum Championship Wrestling. Me and
Ah,
my name Justin James, very great wrestler, very great wrestler. I would say
yeah.
Daniel Bryan. I mean, this dude is like he's phenomenal. And they were like, I remember my coach saying, "Hey, we don't play that like that grab hag crap. That's what you call it, grab hag, is where a younger girl is being messed with by a younger, older dude that's also in the training place. There was a lot of that going on in this generation. I'm like, why is these older dudes messing with these younger girls? And it's happening now in some of these training places. It's even happening in some of these schools. You never know what these teachers are doing to your kids behind closed doors, and your kids afraid to say anything because
The
they
repercussions.
right, yeah, the repercussions. They don't want to get a bad grade. They don't want to get the teacher fired. So it's a lot of sick things that are going that is not being protected by the adult eye.
Yeah, exactly, and that's sad because those are the actions, and the people that are actually doing those actions, they're the ones who deserve to be canceled, not this actor or this singer or this politician for saying the wrong thing at the wrong